I very much fall into the category that college is not for everybody and a test score does not define you. However, everybody has the potential for success. So I decided to leave the classroom so that I could focus on my own baby because she was getting all of the leftovers. And I was just really tired of working three jobs just to make ends meet. So I dove in head first, knowing nothing about the game. I thankfully joined a good brokerage for learning and education. It was a boutique brokerage, but they were a very small team. So I had 100% of the training mentality and focus, which I needed because I'm a lifelong learner. And if I'm going to do anything, I want to do it well.
Welcome to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Well, today's guest is Katelyn Raber, a founding ambassador of the Home Scholars team at Wheatley Realty, where empowering and educating clients is the name of the game. A former educator and longtime Lake County local, Kate brings heart, patience, and a teacher's mindset to every real estate journey. Now living in Mount Dora with her family and fur babies, Kate specializes in meeting clients exactly where they are, whether that's day one or deal ready. Known for being optimistic, knowledgeable, and a true go-getter, she's all about making the process clear, confident, and stress-free. Welcome to the Momentum in Real Estate podcast, Kate.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We're so excited to get to know you more. So share with us your real estate story in your own words.
Yeah, so I like what feels like half of the members of the real estate community used to be a teacher, and I absolutely adored teaching. I would have never left it had they not taken my classroom library. We won't get political here. But I was an English teacher, and it felt like more and more it was all about standardized test scores. And I very much fall into the category that college is not for everybody and a test score does not define you. However, everybody has the potential for success. So I decided to leave the classroom so that I could focus on my own baby because she was getting all of the leftovers. And I was just really tired of working three jobs just to make ends meet. So I dove in head first, knowing nothing about the game. I thankfully joined a good brokerage for learning and education. It was a boutique brokerage, but they were a very small team. So I had 100% of the training mentality and focus, which I needed because I'm a lifelong learner. And if I'm going to do anything, I want to do it well. So I left, I went headfirst into it. My husband was also a teacher at the time. So failure was not an option. I still had a mortgage to pay, I had a baby to raise. And so it was just all or nothing. And we're going to figure this out and make it work. And thankfully, it has. So very blessed. And had I not had the teaching background, I don't believe that I would be as successful in real estate as I am because there are so many transferable skills. And the number one thing is education. This is the biggest investment that most of my clients will ever make. And I want to make sure that it's an educated decision. They're not feeling pressure, they're not feeling rushed, and they're never turning around with buyer's remorse saying, oh my God, what did we do? So that is one of the biggest attributes, I guess, or kudos I have of what led to being a successful realtor. It's just those transferable skills and realizing that I'm still teaching. Just instead of teaching kids, I'm teaching adults. And instead of graduation, I get closing day. And thankfully, most of my clients are former students. I got to see both. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, we know that you're in the Central Florida market, and we have a general, we know folks there. We have a general sense of what that market is like, but unpack that for us, just kind of high level. We have listeners and viewers from all over the country, but tell us what's like the biggest surprise that people experience when they're relocating to your market in Florida.
Okay. Oh, that's a hard question because I have two answers. So I'm just going to give both. The funny answer is that we don't have basements. So all of my northern transplants, where do you put your stuff? We don't. Garages are for storage. Go ahead and purge really well before you move down here because storage is not our strong suit in Central Florida. So that's my funny answer. My honest answer is that people are shocked at how strong our market still is. We're building everywhere in Central Florida. If you look at national headlines, even if you look at Florida headlines, it does not paint an accurate picture of Central Florida at all. So, all of the coastal areas that you see that get hammered by hurricanes, all of them are moving in and moving up. A lot of the panhandle as well are moving down. And then we have all of the transplants. We have a ton of new job opportunities. Orlando is, it just continues to grow and it's already oversaturated. There's no place for people to go except out to the suburbs, which is where I'm located in Lake County. And so between having Orlando growing out in every direction and the villages growing down, smack dab in the middle is Lake County. So if you're looking at national headlines, you're not getting an accurate representation of what our market is, and it's still competitive.
That's so interesting. I love to
Mm.
hear that because I know you guys got like hammered with all the home insurance and all the condo situation. Like it was just, it's wild. So that's good. That's really good for you. Share with us a little bit about your business, like where you get your business from, what are your main like pockets, and how about how many deals you do or transactions you do a year too?
Okay, good question. Most of my business, I'm very, very blessed, is self-generated and sphere of influence. A ton of my clients are either referred to me from previous clients or friends, or like I said before, they're my former students. And those are my favorite, obviously, because I already know them and I'm just excited for them and it's cool to see them as adults. Sorry, what was the other part of that question?
Yep. So where you get your deals from, and then how many transactions or how many
Okay.
people you get to serve a year.
Yep. So that is the question that we all dread and love, right? So on good years, it's fantastic. Last year, I had a really good year. I served 22 families, both in listing and buying, and some investments as well. However, that's not always the case. The previous year, I only closed 9 transactions. So I'm very much aware, and I'm not going to lie to you and or paint a rosier picture than it is. And oh, I'm off the real estate roller coaster. I'm working every single day trying to keep the pipeline filled. So, on average, I would say it's probably about 15 deals a year. Good years, it's more. Rough years, it's less. And it's just the name of the game.
I love that. And that's amazing too, because last year was like the hardest year for a lot of people across the entire country. So,
Yeah. Yep. So last year, I was very, very lucky that all of the work in the past 4 years kind of just all hit at the same time. I do a first time home buyer class, and the majority of people who come to it are nowhere near being ready. And it would be really easy to put them as a D lead, check in twice a year, and move on with life. Last year taught me how stupid that would be if I followed everybody else's advice because
Mhm.
consistently staying in front of them, having conversations that have nothing to do with real estate, reminding them of their goals, checking
Mhm.
their socials and seeing what's going on in their life. And I attribute that to my first brokerage I was at, taught me probably the most important thing of real estate. It's nobody's job to remember that you are a realtor. It's your job to keep showing up in front of people so that when the
Mhm.
time comes and when they're ready, there's no other name that they think of. Last year was was my testament year of I'm doing it right and it's going to happen eventually. And then once it happens, it should just keep rolling. Hopefully, we'll see.
Love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That was actually one of the things I was going to dive deeper with you, is talking about like moving people from that not ready state to a ready state. And I would imagine your education background, it's just, you're so well suited for that sort of journey, to just be patient and to be present. And so I love that.
I
Um,
think not only being patient and present, but also holding people accountable, right? And you
mm,
don't know what you don't know. So a huge chunk of my class, remember, my husband and I were both teachers. I understand the life of living paycheck to paycheck and not knowing, if there's an emergency, how we're going to pay for that. So when you're talking to people, especially in today's economy of you have to save this money for inspections and this money for appraisal and where's your down payment coming from? It's so daunting that so many people are in this mindset of I'm never going to own a home. I'm just going to rent and I'll get my annual pass to Disney. So a huge chunk of that is sitting down with them with their last 3 months of bank statements and 5 different color highlighters. And we're not using an app. We're not going through Rocket Money because there's something empowering of, okay, green's for food. I need you to
mhm,
highlight every single time you went through the drive-through in the past 3 months. And when the
mm.
highlighter is doing this over and over and over again, and you see those light bulbs go off of, oh my God, it's like, all right, where's this money coming from? Now we have a game plan. So it's them understanding where the money is going to come from within their own real budget, and then me helping them stay accountable. So send in a quick text at the beginning of the month, set that envelope aside for your money. Don't forget. And if once that money's gone, we're eating ramen noodles for the rest of the month. Checking in again on the
PBJ.
yep, checking in again on the 15th. Hey, how's that food money going? Or, I'm using food as an example, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
genuinely, I don't know if we're allowed to say chain restaurants, but like when you cut out all of the drive-throughs, you can buy a house a lot sooner than you thought you could.
Mhm. That's amazing. And so, yeah, just so useful and practical for so many of us, and
Mhm.
our clients alike. One of the things that Corey and I are super passionate about is like being involved in our community and using those real relationships in our community to fuel referrals, to just be supportive, of these are our friends and our neighbors who run small businesses in our
Yeah.
town. Talk about community involvement as like a real foundation for your business, and kind of what that looks like realistically.
Yeah. All right. So this is something I'm super passionate about, but I'm going to try to speak really briefly on. I think the mistake a ton of realtors make is they show up performatively versus genuinely. And people see through that fast. I'm an introvert. If you're attacking me the second I walk in a store, I'm much more likely to turn around and walk out of the store. Like, leave me alone. I'm buying soap. It's not like a life crisis here. I am not in need of assistance. Thank you. Having said that, it's not a cornerstone of my business. It's a cornerstone of my life. And so I choose to work with nonprofits. I'm very passionate, and I have been. I was a Key Club advisor whenever I was an educator. I've always been part of different community service organizations from a very, very young age. For me, I want to know where my money's going, how it's going to help, and who it's going to help. I have zero interest in lining the pockets of CEOs. So none of the organizations I am part of are these big, giant national ones that get all of the attention. The ones I'm involved in are small, local, grassroots movements that directly impact and help my community. So that's number one. Number two is that you will never hear me talking about real estate when I show up to serve. I am not there with business cards in my back pocket. I am not there posting all over my social media pages. Look at how wonderful I am. Look at all this great work I'm doing. Looking for a house? Give me a call. I'm not doing any of that because the goal for service is to give back to the community, is to help those that I could be brushing shoulders with in the grocery store. And so I also firmly believe put good out, get good back. Because of my level of involvement in these, if you meet me for the first time, you're never going to know I'm a realtor. By the time you've seen me 6 times, it might come up. And there's usually that moment, you're real estate? I never knew that. Tell me all about it. But it's because they already know, like, and trust me from me showing up consistently, giving with a grateful heart, trying to be as genuine as possible as a person, not as a realtor. That as soon as that conversation comes up, the referrals start coming. The tags on Facebook, like the rants, raves, and reviews page or the blah, blah, blah local page. The second, hey, I'm looking for a realtor, and we know all of those. And then the second you ask for a realtor, 9,000 names are tagged, and you've heard of 4 of them because they're the only 4 that are actually producing anything. That's where all of those type of referrals, that word of mouth, they're not necessarily referring me as a realtor. They're referring me as, she's going to take care of you. She cares about you. She's got a huge heart, and she's going to meet you where you're at, because that's how I'm showing up when I serve my community, doing community service. So that was a really long answer, but obviously it's something I'm super passionate about, because I see all of these realtors all the time show up to a food pantry one time and it's like a free photo op. And that, to me, there's nothing wrong with it, I guess. Like, they're still serving, but I just always think of the community director who's there every single week, or the person standing in line who's now on somebody else's social media. And that could be really embarrassing or really degrading. It's like the people who film themselves helping homeless people. We don't need to film every action. We need to show up genuinely and do stuff that we care about. So if it's not something that you care about, find a different organization. There's organizations for everything if you look hard enough, and if you're actually passionate about it.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the very cliche, it's who you know, like, and trust that you want to use.
Yeah.
So, if you show up in that genuine way, people are going to think about you automatically. And I love that too, because something that Kristin and we do coaching weekly with our group. And one of the things that oftentimes comes up is like, show up genuinely. And then if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house, or whatever that is, we say, oh, that's not what this is for. Let's set up a coffee date. Like, do it another time. Like, even if it does genuinely come up, like, still push that off, because then people are like, oh, she really is here to like serve her community or be part of this. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Something I really wanted to dig into with you, because it sounds like this consistency of this first time homebuyer class has been really good for you. Walk us through what a class looks like. Is it in person? Is it on Zoom? Do you partner with, just give us some details there.
Yep. So the class itself, if we're doing it in a big group setting, is typically only done once a year, believe it or not. However, I use that same material. If somebody comes to me in June and they miss the class in February, I'm not going to say, beep, wait until June or wait till February. We'll get you handled then. You got to meet people where they're at. So we always have the materials on hand. We're always ready to have the conversation. We're always prepared. But the actual class itself is in person. I do partner with my lender partner. It's Whitney Rico with Movement Mortgage, partners with me on the first time home buyer class. And so when participants come, we ask them to bring their last 3 months of bank statements and the ability to have honest conversations with both themselves and with me and Whitney. So they're not asked to share anything with the class. They're not asked to get up and make an example of themselves of what to do or what not to do. Everything's very private and personal. We're just doing it in a group setting. We don't offer the Zoom option for that class, only because there's no possible way for us to do it, because there's stations and centers. So we talk as a group, give them some knowledge. We go through Home Buying 101. You're here. These are all the steps it takes to get to here. Then we kind of do like these little breakout sessions. So one group is sitting in the conference room. And so if they have a significant other or if they have a co-signer or a co-borrower, we ask them to bring that person because all of that matters. And they're going through and highlighting. So that's like the budget portion. So we have 4 parts. We have budget, credit, savings, and then like the actual process itself, right? Like getting the pre-approval and going from step A to step B. So in the budgeting section, they're going through and finding where's this money coming from? What realistic goals can we set for ourselves? They're always setting SMART goals. So they're actionable, they're measurable. Like we have points that we can go in and talk to them, but they are deciding it. So it's not this unwarranted or surprise phone call. Some people, they don't want to get a call every single week. Others, it's, I know if you don't call me on Monday, I'm never going to do this. So they are self-selecting how much communication they want. The credit portion, Whitney is in there pulling a soft credit score for them. So this isn't them getting on Credit Karma and saying, no, look, I swear it's 720. Oh, but it's not. It's 640, and then we're coming up with action plans for that as well. A lot of people don't realize that they can negotiate lower payments, lower interest rate, even a payoff amount. And if we have to sit there and find the phone number for them and hold their hand and call and get it removed, the delinquency removed from their credit score, that's what we're doing. There are no quick fixes. And we tell them that oftentimes the buyer who tries to do a quick fix ends up taking longer because they're either going through a credit repair that jacks their credit up even further, or they're just not doing the steps necessary. So we're doing everything right. And then at the end, I mean, we've had some people show up that you don't know what you don't know, and they're ready and they leave with a pre-approval and we're shopping that week. Other people, it takes 6 months. Some people, it's taken 3 years. And no matter how long it takes, our biggest thing is we're going to meet you where you're at. And if you tell us your goal is to be in a home by the end of the year, we're going to give you the steps to get there, but we can't care more than you. And we can't do the work for you. We're going to give you all the tools, the cheerleading, the encouragement, but you got to do it. And there won't be any guesswork of how to get there. We're going to tell you. You just have to then go and do it.
That's awesome. Tell us like more logistics in terms of like, where do you hold this? Is this at your
Oh,
office? Is it
we have
at
a
a,
beautiful office. Yeah, it's at my office. So
okay.
my
And
broker is
how many people do you get to show up to these?
typically between 4 and 6 transactions. That's a terrible way to talk about people, but we keep it small for a reason. The more
Yeah.
people that come, the easier it is to hide. And there's only 2 of us. There's only so
Yeah,
many credit reports we can run. There's only so many
sure.
people that we can handhold through their budget and come up with SMART goals, right?
So do you cap it like the registration? Do you only allow a
We
certain
cap it at
amount?
10, but we've never had 10 show up at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's typically 3 or 4 people, whether it's couples or
Yeah.
individuals that show up. We provide breakfast. We do it on a Saturday morning before all of the kid activities and all of
Yeah.
that take place. And we try to keep it under an hour and a half because trying to get anybody to give up more than that amount of time, it's really, really hard. We also will shorten it. We're not going to keep them for an hour and a half if we don't need to. Get through the material, give them digestible chunks, send them on their way.
That's awesome. And I really appreciate you walking through that because I feel like that could be really a great takeaway for someone listening who is like, oh, I've always thought about doing a seminar for any kind of niche group. And so it gives them sort of a practical
Yeah.
roadmap of like
My
just
biggest
some,
thing is make sure that you're putting the work on the participants. Nobody has the attention span to sit and be talked at for an hour and a half. But if you're taking their goals, that like, so we even start with like a silly little activity. I want you to describe to me in the perfect world what this home that you're going to buy looks like. Why do we do that? One, get them excited. Two, let's see if it's realistic. If they're describing to me a $1.3 million house, we're not thinking realistically, right? Then we start talking about the difference between wants and needs. What is an actual need that you have for this home? And that's where we start getting into like the super important things. I have to be within 30 minutes of work. I have to make sure that the backyard is fenced because I have 3 huge dogs and I won't have any extra money to fence. Like that kind of stuff. And so the more you can get them talking about themselves, the easier your job becomes as an instructor. You should be talking like 20% of the time in these classes.
So good. You-
I was like, you can ask a question.
Usually we're like, we share a brain. Did you have a burning question? I have another.
I thought you might have, but
I do.
okay, great.
I'm
But it's
ready.
a little bit of a different lane. So if there's anything more about this, like now's your time.
No,
I
I think I'm good.
know
I feel like do what?
I know we're like coming near the end of our time. So I thought maybe it would be helpful to just, one of the things that is really important to Cory and I in our business is like the whole idea of like building systems and developing consistency around systems. Like we feel like that's really helped us kind of level up our business. And we're both in our 6th year of business. And so one, remind me if you didn't already mention, how long have you been in the industry? And then talk to us about like what was like a painful lesson that you had to go through that helped you develop something that's now foundational to how you do business?
Oh, such a good question. I went full time. I never went part time. I went all in at the end of the school year of 2019. So I started May, really beginning of June of 2019. And I switched brokerages in January of 2021, and I'm with my current brokerage since then. I have as we've already discussed, I have a huge heart for service and helping other people. I'm a recovering people pleaser, as are all teachers, I think. And I took on a leadership role at my brokerage and I loved it. I was helping agents, I was mentoring new agents, I was planning, I was the event coordinator. So we have 4 different nonprofits that we partner with, one for each quarter, and we go big for each of those. The painful lesson was I'm pouring all of this into this leadership role within the brokerage, and my business is just being put on the back burner, put on the back burner. And as my kid got older and started getting into all of her extracurricular activities, that work mom life balance, that kept getting put on the back burner. And so I was focusing so much on the clients I have now or the tasks I have now that I wasn't ever refilling the pipeline. The real estate roller coaster, it was really, really high, really, really low, really, really, there was no middle ground whatsoever. It was this feast or famine for years, like 3 full years of, I don't know where my next closing's coming from. I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage. What are we going to do? And just hustle, hustle, hustle to get all these people under contract, right? And then I would fall right back into the same pattern of doing everything else for everybody else. And it got to the point, I'm just going to be real. I put my family in 2024 into tens of thousands of dollars of debt, always thinking the next commission, the next paycheck's coming, and then I'll just pay all of this off. And it just became this like horrible debt spiral cycle. And even there's only so good you can feel doing nonprofit work or doing agent support work when you're putting your family into so much debt that it's crippling. So last year, really taking the time to focus on me and my business, getting those systems put in place where even though I may have 3 or 4 pending, I'm not halting the train and waiting for those to close before I'm going to the next stop. Having that consistency I realized, oh, when I do more, I can give more and show up better for everybody, show up better at my brokerage, show up better for my family, show up better whenever I'm serving my community. And that was the most painful, but the most beautiful lesson that I had to go through, because it taught me the importance of these systems. And we don't have a CRM just because it's fancy and neat and now we can send all these postcards or we get reminders of home anniversaries. We have it to really look and take inventory, honest inventory of, where is my next deal coming from? Who do I need to check in on? Who fell through the cracks? Because, oh my God, if you look through my last 5 years of all of the clients that I could have had that I didn't just because my follow-up game sucked, I could have been in a different tax bracket. So that it was a painful lesson, but it was a needed one because it keeps me really, really focused now of, I would love to do this charity event that takes up an entire Saturday, but can I? And really focusing on, where am I at? Where am I trying to go?
So good. I feel like I could talk to you for another hour. I've said that like our last three guests because you've just been so fantastic. So thank you, Katelyn.
You.
And I hope we get to stay connected. And I hope from this podcast you get lots of referrals because I can tell you're an amazing agent and really, really care. So thank you again for being part of this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
and Kristin James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.